Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Raging Cinemaniacs. This is our first video we're uploading. Very excited to get started. It's been very interesting trying to decide what video to do, like of a movie. After much thinking and just really debating, I decided that the first video that we are going to do is the 1954 film Rear Window, of course directed by the great Alfred Hitchcock. Excuse me. Rear Window stars James Stewart as L.B. Jeffries, Grace Kelly as Louisa Fremont, and Thelma Ritter as Stella. Rear Window, just for those of you that don't know, it is about a man who is a photographer, and he is hung up in his bed. He can't do anything. He's very bored. He has about a week left till he gets his cast off. However, how he passes time is he watches his neighbors. Now, as he watches his neighbors, he starts to maybe suspect that one of his neighbors killed their wife. So he embarks on a journey to where he's wondering, is this true or is this not? So going through the movie, he starts to find out if he's right or not. It's a perfect mystery thriller in every sense of the word. It really epitomizes cinema. It's amazing how it's made. And of course, Grace Kelly plays James Stewart's love interest, and Thelma Ritter is the supporting character, Stella, who pretty much comes in and checks in on James Stewart's character, takes him through therapy, things like that. To start with Rear Window, I always think of the characters first and foremost. Mainly because the story really leans on the characters. You see, Rear Window takes place in one setting. It takes place in an apartment, and that's it. Really, 99.9% of the movie. Towards the end, there's a scene where it does take place outside, but it's right down below. But 99.9% of the movie takes place in L.B. Jeffries' apartment. The characters of Rear Window are very interesting, and they're very relatable. First off, with James Stewart's character, he is really the everyman. Any man or any person in the world could really relate to this guy. He is a hardworking individual. He takes pride in his work. Of course, he's a photographer. And many times, in movies, it's hard to relate to characters, but this guy really enjoys his job, and he hates being strung up. He hates it that he is pretty much, just hung up and can't do anything. And I think we've all had that feeling of not being able to be productive. But really, the main important thing to me is his emotional core. You see, he's romantically involved with this woman named Louisa Fremont, of course, played by the beautiful Grace Kelly. And he doesn't know if he should really carry on with her, because he's a photographer that goes harsh places with harsh weather, and he films things, takes pictures of everything, and it's a very hard lifestyle. Grace Kelly is a model, and she's a fashion designer, and she lives the glamorous life. She's kind of the showgirl type thing. She's very beautiful, but she's very high maintenance. And LB doesn't really know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what to do. He thinks, should I keep going with this girl? Because he does care about her. But at the same time, he thinks, can I really lead a good life with this woman? Could I marry her and even be really happy? And that emotional core in the movie, I think, really strikes a nerve, because we see these real characters, and we're in a real setting with realistic circumstances, and we see that they have a emotional problem. They have romantic problems, and it becomes very relatable to the audience, because everyone's went through a relationship problem at one point or another, whether it be friend to friend or boyfriend to girlfriend, or whatever. The emotional core really, I think, drives the film, because the main characters drive the film. L.B. Jeffries and Lisa Fremont are the driving forces in the movie. Going on to the main supporting character is Stella. Now, there are a couple other supporting characters in the film. Of course, there's the person suspected of murder. And then from there's also L.B. Jeffries' detective buddy that helps out. They do a very good job in their roles, but they're pretty small roles, so there's not a whole lot going on either way. They have very nice roles when they're in there. They do a good job. They don't hurt the movie. If anything, they make it just what it is, a masterpiece. They do a great job. But Stella is really the third character in this film, and she comes in and helps LB with his therapy and whatnot, and gives him advice. Really, she adds a big comedic element to the movie. She's very funny. Like, she's not trying to just sit there in front of the camera and make jokes. It's her personality. It seems like a genuine person who makes jokes and lives life telling jokes. She's very funny. She has a great sense of humor. She also, when you look at the movie and you watch it different times, she gives very good advice. And I think when you look at the film, she really adds the comedic elements to the film. She gives it very interesting structure, because the movie is very serious. And yes, there is humor in it, but she supplies some of the best humor in the film. Now, this film is very interesting the way it's designed. And when I say that, I mean whenever we see another area, for example, like I said, we're in the apartment the whole movie, but the way it's set up, well, we see people, when we see someone across the courtyard from L.B. Jeffries' apartment, we see them from their viewpoint. The camera doesn't go over into that, other apartment complex. We see them from the main characters, the protagonist's point of view. And it's very interesting to see because it's really camera work and just a viewpoint in film we don't see much of. We haven't seen much of in the history of cinema, and especially lately we don't see things like this. It's a very ambitious film, and so whenever we see Lisa Fremont crawling, on the side of a building, in the around the third act of the film, we don't see it. We don't see it from her point of view. We see it from L.B. Jeffries' point of view, and scenes like that where we're wondering what's going to happen and the suspense is building, and we see it from L.B.'s point of view. It's what makes the suspense so great in Rear Window, in my opinion. It gives us a sense of realism, and when we see things from the protagonist's point of view, like how they would see a certain scene, and we see it just like them, it really makes us feel like we're there with the characters. But as I said before, even if we feel like we're there with the characters, for us to even care, we have to care about the characters. And as I said earlier, they do a great job of making us care. So the two steps right there are done. We care about the characters, and number two, they're making us feel like we're in the environment. Those steps of us caring and us enjoying, feel like we're in the environment, it makes us feel like we're in real life, and it's a very beautiful thing. Also, the camera work, I mean, the directing in this movie is phenomenal. Just how he films just even conversations, and the movie starts out slow, but it's so we can set up. We have to know the characters. If we just went into this movie and things were happening right away, it wouldn't have much weight because we don't know much about the characters. But in this film, Hitchcock gives us insight into the characters probably the first half hour or so. There's a beautiful opening where right away from the credits, we see his neighbors. We see a nice pan shot of his neighbors, L.B. Jeffries' neighbors. Then we see that he's a photographer, and nothing's said. We see the camera, and then we also see a wreck. We see like a broken camera. Then we see a wreck in a picture, and we think, okay, he's a photographer and he got in a wreck. And of course we see his leg where it's in a cast. Just things like that. We didn't need any explaining. We see it all through imagery, and Hitchcock just pans the camera and shows us. The way the movie is just filmed and how Hitchcock creates this great just courtyard, he'll show us what each neighbor is doing, and it's fantastic to see because we get to see the insight into their privacy and what they're doing, and each character is very different. It just creates an interesting complex to the surrounding of the film. Also, the neat thing to me about the film is just the way Hitchcock builds up suspense. I mean, every situation seems like it would actually happen. There's nothing goofy or, it doesn't seem like it wouldn't happen, in real life. Every explanation is very smart, or every situation is very smart, and it makes sense. And when you have a smart, build up moment or situation going on, the suspense starts to add up, and it really, really is beautiful. The way he sets everything up. As I said, I think in closing, this is Hitchcock's. I really believe. I mean, Psycho, Vertigo, Strangers on a Train, The Birds, North by Northwest. Like he's such a great director, but I think this is his best directorial work. I think it's his most impressive, and I think it's his most ambitious in a way. I think Rope was a very ambitious film, but Rear Window, because Rope they're trying to do single, a whole all one shot, but I think in this film it's the better film compared to Rope, and I really feel like it's just a very ambitious film to try to film a movie in one place, and at the same time to get us as the audience to care about the movie. To care about the characters that are in one location. It's not an action movie. It's a suspense movie with it's character driven. The characters make the movie. Um, Overall, I definitely give this movie an A. I think it's Hitchcock's best film in my opinion. It's my favorite Hitchcock film. It's also one of my favorite films of all time. I'd certainly give it an A plus. I really believe it's a perfect movie. Um, Guys, I tell you, I really enjoyed doing this first review. Subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Comment, like, whatever. Like I said, you have any comments, comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this video. I respect what any of you guys say. I like to hear feedback, criticism, anything. I thank you guys for watching the video. Also, send some recommendations of what videos you'd like for me to do in the future. Thank you very much, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, have a good night.